Hello everybody. This is Lightroom Basics for Beginners. In this tutorial, we are going to cover some of those basic adjustments in Lightroom that you can use to make your photos look more professional. I'll also share some pro tips from my experience as a photographer and editor. Let's dive right in. All right guys, what's up? My name is Shana and now I am a video producer, photographer, editor, and working mom. This is Lightroom Basics for Beginners. As you can see, our child is joining us today. I mean, we might as well rename it Edits with Lincoln. So for me personally, the way that I learn best is by jumping in and actually doing it. So we are going to be editing a few different photos today to show you how to use those basic editing tools to make your photos look a little more professional. Yes. This first photo that we'll be editing together today is actually of this little ham. It was taken outside in really good light, actually. It was in the middle of the day, but it was in the shade. Go ahead and open up Lightroom. The first thing that I would do when I'm looking at this photo is I take a look at the light. So starting out, I'm only going to use the controls in this top panel, in the basic edit panel. To me, this photo looks a little bit dark. I'd like to make him look a little bit brighter. So I'm going to drag over the exposure a tiny bit, bring up those shadows just a bit. As you can see, that brought up a little bit of the color in his face here. Clarity is a great tool to adjust the softness of someone's skin. So I'm going to bring down the clarity just a little bit. As you can see, it kind of smoothed out a little bit of his skin. Right now, this photo is looking super warm to me. So I'm going to bring down the color temperature just a freckle. Here's the photo before. Here's after. It already looks so much better and so much cleaner, crisper. On the top of all of your Lightroom editing panels, you have your crop tool, blemish tool, the red eye tool, graduated filter, radial filter, and brush tool. We won't be going through every single one of those today, but I will do my best to show you guys a few tips and tricks to help with basic photo editing. All right, so for this photo specifically, I'm going to use this blemish tool. You adjust your brush size with the bracket key. You can use the left bracket to make it smaller, the right bracket to make it bigger. You can also scroll, if you're using a mouse, up or down. All right, so I'm going to zoom in, Command plus. Ooh, looks like we have a little bit of drool there. Anything that is distracting from the purpose of the photo should be removed. I'm going to remove some of this acne here, and I'm going to remove some of this drool. When you're using the spot removal tool, you simply click to remove a blemish. Lightroom will automatically sample from another part of the image to help cover up whatever that blemish is. I want to get rid of this, and it's pulling from right there. When I'm using this tool, I tend to click and drag the source sample to a place where the texture, tone, color, all of that is very similar to what I'm trying to cover up. That makes it blend much better. All right, finish up with some of the spots. I have done some blemish reduction here. And in order to get rid of all of those spots on the screen, go ahead and click the blemish tool. And let's go ahead and toggle a before and after. As you can see, this photo looks great. I would say it's definitely ready for export, so let's move on to the next one. The second photo we'll be editing today is looks like editing with Lincoln has come to an end. Bye, friends. So this second photo that we're going to be editing together was taken during an awesome maternity session. We went out to Laguna Beach at like 5:30 in the morning, caught the sunrise. There wasn't really much of a sunrise because it was super overcast, but the morning light was super beautiful and diffused. So right out of the camera, this image looked pretty good. But there are a few things that we can do to level up our edit. We will be using our straighten horizon tool, our color temperature to adjust to make her skin tone look a little bit better. We'll use a radial filter to adjust some of the clarity in the photo. And we are going to dive a little bit into that HSL panel to bring up some of the different colors that we want to emphasize. So the light on this actually looks pretty good. What I want to show you is some basic adjustments that will make your photos look more professional here. So we're gonna go into this crop tool. I don't think that this necessarily needs to be cropped. She's along that line of thirds. But what needs to be adjusted is this horizon. So let me show you how to do that. This is your crop and straighten panel. And this is the way that you adjust your horizon. So I line my horizon up with the horizontal lines there. And as you can see, that already looks 10 times better. Push enter to accept the change. So let's take a look at the color in this photo. It is a little bit cool. So let's go ahead and adjust that. It brings out her skin tones. Look, before, after. That's just by adding a little bit of warmth. Our exposure looks good. I purposely blew this out just a little bit. Next, what we're going to do is bring down these highlights so that we can see a little bit more of this ocean back here. This is looking really, really nice to me. I want to soften her skin just a little bit, but as you can see, if I use the clarity tool, it really does adjust everything in the photo. So if I want to keep a little bit more crispness in this background, I'm not going to use the clarity tool here. I'm gonna come up to this radial filter, just click and drag to create that filter. So right now, it's only affecting the area outside of this circle. So come over here and click invert. So now it's affecting the subject here. So this is what it looks like before adding any effects to that radial filter. Let's come on over here and let's just bring down that clarity by maybe 20. That already makes her skin look so much better. Here's before, after. So we've smoothed a little bit of the skin. With these radial filters, I always like to make sure that it's pretty feathered. 50 is a pretty good starting point. Otherwise, you'll see a hard edge here at the edge of the filter. All right, click enter to accept. All right, so the radial filter is still selected up here. To make it disappear, go ahead and click it again. It collapses that panel. Here's your basic edits panel. Honestly, this photo looks pretty great. Let's do a before, after. All right, so now I actually kind of want to bring up some of these blues just a little bit. So we're going to scroll down to our HSL panel, hue, saturation, and luminance. We are going to just try and change these blues. So the hue panel adjusts like what type of blue you see. So those blues are going to be more aqua, or are they going to be more purple? With these blues, I'm not going to touch the hue because I really like the color that they are. I just want to bring out more. So for that, you're going to use your saturation and luminance. So let me just show you what happens when I bring the luminance of the blue up. It blows it out. So if you bring the luminance down, it brings out more of the color, but look, it kind of looks a little weird and pixelated, so I'm not going to adjust it quite that much. I'm going to bring the luminance down just a smidge, and I'm going to bring the saturation up just a smidge, all right? This is without those HSL adjustments, and here's with them. So it's just a very subtle change. All right, guys, let's toggle before and after. Here's our photo before. Still a great photo, but bam, look at how much better it looks after those minor adjustments that we made. This next photo was taken indoors. It was pretty dimly lit. It was inside Lincoln's nursery. We can really make this photo look a lot better. Again, we'll be using the basic editing panel, and we're also going to use some noise reduction and a graduated filter to throw in some fake sun. Check this out. Definitely bring that exposure up. Bring up those shadows just a bit, and then bring down that clarity just a smidge. If the photo looks a little bit grainy, go ahead and scroll down to the detail panel to this effect called noise reduction. Drag up that luminance on the noise reduction to maybe like a 15 or a 20. Noise reduction helps smooth a little bit of the grain out of a photo. All right, so already this photo looks way better. Before, after. Here's an artsy tip for you. I love to use a graduated filter to throw some light in from the direction that the light is already coming, and just warm it up a little bit and bring up that exposure. All right, guys, here's before, after. That looks pretty great. And look at that, just those few minor adjustments made this photo 10 times better than it was before. This last photo was taken at sunset during the golden hour down at Laguna Beach. So already out of the camera, it looks pretty good, but there are some really great things we can do to make this photo just look like a banger. Check it out. We'll be using that basic editing panel, that HSL panel, to add in some oranges and reds and pinks and purples. And then we'll also use a radial filter to add in some fake sunshine again. Let's jump in. Last photo, guys. All right, so this one's super fun. Just because it drives me insane, I'm going to adjust this horizon before we even start editing. All right. One of the first things that actually helps me when I'm editing photos, if you don't know where to start, go ahead and click this auto button and see what Lightroom would do differently. Before, after. I mean, that's not terrible. It gives us an okay starting point, and you can see it moved some toggles over here, but I'm going to go ahead and just do this one from scratch for you. First, let's go ahead and adjust the exposure. I'm going to bump this exposure up by about 0.85, and I'm going to use a graduated filter to bring in some more light here at the bottom. We'll do that by upping the shadows. You don't want to add too much exposure because exposure tends to make photos grainier. So always adjust with your shadows if you can. Already this is looking really awesome. I'm also going to warm up the bottom of that photo just a smidge. That looks good. Look at the before and after already, looks amazing. So let's do something cool with this sunset. Come up here and select the radial filter. And we're gonna bring the oval across our photo like this so that it's centered on the sun. Are you ready for this trick? Make sure you invert so that it's attacking here. I'm gonna make it a little bigger. Make sure your feather is set. And I'm going to warm this up just a bit to give it a little bit more of a glow. And I'm going to bring up those shadows. Already, look at this sunset photo compared to what it was before. I don't love that the upper corners are weird black like this. That's from an ND filter that was on the camera when we were taking the photo. So let's go ahead and just adjust it with a little bit of a crop. Hold shift if you want to keep the same aspect ratio. If you don't, then you can go all over the place like this. All right, so hold shift, keep that same aspect ratio, as much of those beautiful colors in there as possible. But now look, we've gotten rid of those funky, weird corner things. This photo looks amazing. Before, after. Let me show you one more pro tip. If you wanted to, you could inject a little bit more color. So let's go down here to the HSL panel. And I'm going to be working with the oranges and the yellows. So if I wanted that orange to be a little bit more pink, you can drag it to the left. Look at what a difference that made. That is just absolutely insane. I think that's a little too much though, so I'm gonna drag it back to the right, just a smidge. If you wanted it to be more of an epic looking sunset, you can go into your blues and drag it a little bit toward the purple side. What a great transformation. Check out that before and after. This has been Lightroom Basics for Beginners. Thank you so much for watching. I had a blast editing with all of you. I hope you guys learned something. Please let me know in the comments below if you have any questions. So if you like this video, please hit that like button below, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell for notifications to see when I'm posting a new video. Every week, baby. There's gonna be lots more content like this. I'm gonna be posting videos on how to make videos, videos on how to take photos, videos on how to edit photos, videos on how to run a creative business, videos on how to balance life as a working mom. It's gonna be a blast. Can't wait to see you next week. Later. Linky boy, linky boy, linky boy, yeah. Boy, linky boy, yeah. Linky boy, linky boy, linky boy, yeah. Bye, friends.